So 2026 could be a blockbuster year for Google after some, I have to say, really serious success across almost all areas in 2025. But what should and what could we expect from the company? Here's a few really early year thoughts and expectations. I think it's going to be a good year. I can feel it in my bones. But yeah, let's get into it. Gang, I need you to do me a solid though first and hit that subscribe button, as we are on the road to 400,000 subscribers. Every little one of you helps, and I'll be eternally grateful for you joining the crew. Cheers. So let's get the most obvious selection out of the way early as we cover this in depth across the channel. The dust may have barely settled on Android 16, but we are definitely expected an Android 17 release. I think it could be a little bit funky given how Google is going to bring Android to us, to potential phones in 2026. Of course, we had a two-part release last year. I do think that could happen again, but the company confirmed after the December Pixel drop that this was a milestone, speaking of that December Pixel drop, for how Android updates will work going forward. Big yearly releases could be a thing of the past. Instead, and we quote, "We will get the latest releases as soon as they're ready," according to their own press release for the December drop. Now, that doesn't mean we won't get Android 17. In fact, it means the exact opposite. We can expect further evolution of the OS though throughout the year, and I think that could start with those quarterly releases, aka QPR drops. Having said that, this has been the case for a while already. The new timeline has been aligned, as we saw last year, to better sync with that yearly release of the Pixel hardware, which was mid Q3, aka summer 2025. Android Canary has also been added to the lineup in the past year to help speed up these Android iterations. There's a lot to contend with when we're discussing Android right now, and across the platform, whatever it happens to be, I would say just expect Android 17. It will come, it's a definite, even if it's just an API change followed by more visual overhauls like we saw with Android 16 and QPR1 last year. Just how much it differs from Android 16 is basically anyone's guess at this stage. It could simply add in more under the hood behaviors like it has done in the past. Gemini could also play a more pivotal role, but the jury is out at this point in time. But yeah, Android 17 is nail on chalkboard, nail on board, whatever you want to call it. It's coming, we just don't know when at this stage. Also, building upon the foundations of the Pixel 9 and Pixel 10 series, I think is imperative for Google in 2026, and it's a near certainty that we'll see new hardware. We've seen leaks of this anyway over the past 3 or 4 months. We will start though with the Pixel 10a. It's not clear when that might be, as the 9A hit store shelves earlier than any of its predecessors done before, so if that March to April launch to release timeframe is adhered to, that means we probably won't have much longer to wait to get that affordable Pixel 10 handset, and we are hoping to see just what it brings to the table. The Pixel 11 though is an inevitable follow-up later in the year. It's fair to say that while the Pixel 10 has solid fundamentals of its own, there has been a bit of a lukewarm response from ardent Android fans and the wider community. We've seen your comments here on the channel and we get it, we understand it. Google has really targeted a very different demographic over the past couple of years, and while there has been market share gain, we really would love to see more from the next generation. I think Tensor is the one area where all of us would love to see some sizable improvements. You don't need to have the best chip. I'm going to flat out say I don't think you need to have the best chip. I think something just competitive, so that even some of you hardcore Android fans might think twice before going with another phone with the best of the best spec sheet, as the best of the best spec sheet isn't always backed with the best of the best software, which I do think Pixel, I'm going to nail my colours to the mast and say, yeah, I think it has the best software. That said, if the Pixel 11 just nudges the company further again, internally I think that is probably going to be seen as a win for the lineup. Converting iPhone owners to Pixel owners has become the modus operandi of the past few years. You can see that from their marketing campaigns. And as much as that is annoying, I do think it is still great to see Android taking market share away from Apple. And I do think that is what Google is going for. Hopefully they can do that again with the Pixel series this year. So we all know the Google Assistant is basically all but dead at this time. And to coincide with that, Google has already revealed new Google Home hardware with a speaker that, although larger, does pay a lot of homage to the original Google Home Mini and the Nest Mini while retaining Gemini as its core component. What is interesting to me is that it's almost like Google is ditching the Nest moniker completely with their speaker lineup, and at $99.99, it could be a bit of a tough sell compared to its predecessors, but given how overdue first-party or new first-party home hardware has been in recent years, I think people might be itching to get hold of this new speaker. Google says it's been engineered and designed for Gemini, which is a little bit concerning to some people. The online discourse surrounding Gemini as a replacement for the Google Assistant I think it's been mixed at best. So we're itching to see more improvements before this mini speaker is available for sale. maybe we'll eventually get feature parity with the Google Assistant. You can pair two of these speakers with the Google TV streamer to create that immersive home theater system, and finally realize something that the Nest Audio was supposed to achieve with the Chromecast a few years ago but never came to fruition. There's also stereo pairing and grouping with existing Nest speakers for multi-room audio, which I think is going to be great if you're heavily invested in the Nest speaker lineup like I am. Spring 2026 is the only timeline that we have been seen so far, or when we will get this new Google Home speaker. The good news is that it's coming to 19 countries at launch, which is always good to see Google making products available in a wide array of countries right from the get-go. We know Google's been forging a fresh path with Gemini over the past few years, and it wouldn't be much of a stretch to see Gemini 4.0 lead the way once again with extra integrations and implementations that we probably couldn't even begin to contend with here on the channel. Nano Banana image generation and editing has been a massive hit from the moment it dropped. It single-handedly added hundreds of millions of new users to Gemini, and maybe we'll see another turning point like this throughout the year. We might not get another major switch like that though, but there's no telling just what developments could do for the average person who just uses AI and LLMs sparingly. Gemini 3.0 is already proving that it can do so much more than many other LLMs, and it'll only evolve month to month throughout the year, and we will be covering it as much as possible in depth throughout 2026, so don't worry about that. Another big play that has been announced recently is that in partnership with OEMs, we are getting a true follow-up or successor to Google Glass. Android XR for glasses is the end goal for the operating system, but we didn't expect hardware to be ready for quite a while. Google has come out swinging with confirmation that monocular AR glasses are coming to market this year. Xreal is bringing wired XR glasses to the market in the new year at some point. That's just the beginning. More brands, most likely Samsung, after the company did tease something with the Galaxy XR or after the Galaxy XR launch, are likely to get their own hardware as well, beyond or before the turn of 2027. Glasses that give us that true world-facing Gemini experience, I think, are the end goal for Android XR, as I've noted, so it could be a really major growth area, and I want to see just what Google has in the pipeline and what other hardware OEMs have for glasses of this type. I know it's a pain point, but the death of consumer Chrome OS in favour of Android is more or less a formality at some point soon, and I do think 2026 looks like the year that we finally get that proper Android-powered desktop OS to use on laptops and personal computers. Whether it works is another big question that hangs over this project. Is Android the right place for productivity? Can our mobile and tablet applications scale to be useful on either larger screens or that true laptop paradigm? Well, the jury's out at this stage. It's a tough sell, I think, for a lot of people. Chrome OS does offer a desktop-level browser with compromises elsewhere. Android on laptops and computers would need some serious work for it to get to anywhere near the same quality level of Chrome OS. And I do think Chrome for Android is going to be one of those major pain points as it is right now, as it doesn't do things like support extensions, nor does it work in all that well, at least when you want to manage multiple or use multiple tabs. But what I do think it lacks in professional level support, Android in this form factor may make up for it in flexibility. I think the scalability will benefit mobiles here too, as we could get better tablet support, better developer buy-in, and therefore much more. I think if Google can court big application developers like Adobe, they will be top of my wish list, and get more productivity suites ported over to Android, then maybe there really is an opportunity to make inroads in that mammoth iPad market share. Maybe not the Mac OS. It is highly unlikely that people will abandon Windows and Mac OS in favour of Android-powered machines unless they have very lightweight workloads or are on a really strict budget, which I think is another area where Google can start picking up users. Just which OEMs actually back the project remains to be seen as well. Chrome OS it's stagnated in recent years after some fairly moderate success. As I say, the jury's out, but we're intrigued by how or what Android in the existing form factors that we're used to day to day will really look like when it is finally unveiled and we get details on just what it can and can't do. So that's it. I get it. We've stayed fairly safe in our estimations here, but to be honest, I would really love to see some new hardware beyond the Pixel lineup. But I do think Google is going to remain bullish on Android and Gemini again this year, and rightfully so. They've had such success and they're building upon it. But what are you hoping for? Let me know down in the comment sections below. I love hearing your thoughts, as some of you have some crazy out there things and make me think about things the way that I maybe wouldn't necessarily do so. Cheers for watching though. Hopefully this has helped you out, giving you an overview. Yeah, it is what it is, and I'll speak to you later.